All right, people, with everything that's been going on this week between Usyk vacating, Fabio Wardley becoming full champion, the WBO full champion, AJ versus Jake Paul. Obviously, we've got the Ring Magazine 4 on in the weekend. Have a look there on screen. If you could, please consider hitting the like, hitting the subscribe, hitting the notification bell. And also, ring walk for Ring Magazine 4 for Yard Benavides. It's going to be about 1:30 a.m. UK time, which is not that bad. Link will be in the description below and pinned in the comments section to it, just so you know. But there's been so much news breaking this week. It's kind of left a few of us on the back burner because there's so much big news that there's some, I don't want to say lesser spotted, but I guess you could kind of call it that. That's kind of gone under the radar a bit. So last week was meant to be the purse bid of Daniel Dubois, Frank Sanchez. Now, you may remember Frank Sanchez, I think the final eliminator was offered to Atelma originally, which he didn't take. Fair enough. And okay, whatever. I think it was offered to a few others. I think it was F.A. Jagba. I don't know about Hrgovic. I'm not too sure about that. But there was a few people going down the list who were, eligible to fight Frank Sanchez for that final eliminator. But, for whatever reason, it didn't happen. Daniel Dubois then, even after his defeat to Alexander Usyk, because they went down so far, I think he was ranked number 6 or 7. He was then next in line to potentially face Sanchez in the eliminator, and he agreed to it. He didn't agree to the fight as in he signed a contract, but he said, words to the effect of, well, I don't know if it was him, but a member of his team basically said, yeah, let's do it. So the purse bid was down for November, I believe it was the 13th. Now, nothing happened, and it got pushed back to today. Well, Boxing Scene, amongst others, are now reporting that Daniel Dubois withdraws from the IBF eliminator versus Frank Sanchez. The article on Boxing Scene reads the following: debt, taxes, and another heavyweight who doesn't want to face Frank Sanchez. Boxing Scene has confirmed that Daniel Dubois is added to the growing list of contenders who've withdrawn from the IBF heavyweight title elimination process. A purse bid hearing previously scheduled to take place Thursday afternoon was cancelled as a result. The development comes just weeks after both sides mutually agreed to a 7-day postponement at the time in hopes that common ground could be reached. Instead, Cuba Sanchez is now back on the hunt for a new challenger should the IBF once again travel down the route. In this event, another eliminator is ordered. Jared Anderson is ranked one spot below London's Daniel Dubois and presumably would be next. Here's the interesting thing here, right? It says here, Derek Chisora currently holds the number 2 spot with the IBF. The middle-aged former world title challenger is persistently without a fight date after Queensberry cancelled its plans for December the 13th show. We all know about that. Whatever the case, Dubois is moving on to new business. The former IBF heavyweight world titleist has not fought since a repeat knockout defeat to Alexander Usyk at Wembley Stadium on July the 19th. The feat saw Usyk once again regain the IBF heavyweight title, vacated last June to allow the full stakes to be on the line for Dubois' eventual 5th round knockout win over fellow countryman Anthony Joshua in Wembley Stadium. Dubois had previously held the interim version. Meanwhile, Sanchez's career continues to waste away as the IBF struggle to move forward in its effort to solidify a new mandatory for Alexander Usyk. The 33-year-old Cuban heavyweight has seen at least 5 heavyweight fighters bail on the process. Dubois joins Hrgovic, Jagba, Atelma, and Torres Jr. in that regard. So, what do we do now? If they do call Sanchez versus Jared Anderson, I'm saying that's a slam dunk win for Frank Sanchez. Jared Anderson, he hasn't fought since he fought Bacoli last year, right? He obviously got stopped in that fight, stopped quite badly. And then he fought, February. And he fought some obscure guy, and he looked disinterested. Remember that fight? He looked awful. He looked really bad in that fight. So that's the last fight he had. He hasn't fought since then. So you're talking actually nearly a year, because February was a while ago now, and he's not fought since then. So if they announce that fight, or they go ahead with that fight, or he agrees to fight Frank Sanchez, I got Frank Sanchez winning that fight every day of the week. Every day of the week. Even though we're looking at a probably diminished Frank Sanchez now. The Frank Sanchez who fought F.A. Jagba 4 years ago, that was a serious hombre. He would have given anyone trouble in the heavyweight division, including Usyk. He would have given a lot of people trouble. But now we're seeing a kind of more of a slowed down Frank Sanchez, an injury-prone Frank Sanchez, in particular in the knees. And again, for a fighter who relies on movement the way Frank Sanchez does, that's something that you really don't want. You don't want a fighter who's relying on movement and all of a sudden, oh, my movement is a little bit, off or slow, and it's not particularly good. But having said that, I think with the way Anderson's been looking of lately, and the lack of interest and everything, I don't think his mind's fully with the game of boxing. I think that you would have you'd be very confident, or certainly I would, in picking Frank Sanchez to win. But the question now is, what's going on with Dubois? Because, again, they seemed okay to go ahead with this fight. It was a case of you fight Frank Sanchez, and I think you probably would have had Dubois maybe as a slight favourite. A very competitive fight, don't get me wrong. But you win this fight, you're back in line to face Usyk again. Not that anyone wants a trilogy, I certainly don't. But you see what I mean. You get the benefit of going ahead with this fight. So for him to decide to not go ahead with it, what must that mean? Now, I don't know. No inside knowledge. But I was planning on doing a video today, which I'm going to scrap it, because I'm pretty much going to say it in this video here. I was going to do a video on what's next for Fabio Wardley. Because obviously now he's heavyweight champion. It's not a case. Because if you had asked me that 2 weeks ago, I would have said, just wait. Just wait, see what happens. If you're going to fight Usyk, you're going to fight Usyk. If not, just wait and see what he does. Wait for the belt to become vacant, or wait to see what he does next. You should do what Parker didn't do, and just, wait and see what happens. If you're going to fight someone you're going to beat. But now he's upgraded to full champion. He's WBO heavyweight champion, which is still a phenomenal achievement. I still can't quite get over it. Now he's got a target on his back. And Frank Warren, he's done pay-per-views, he's done stadiums, and now he's world heavyweight champion. All right, that's a spicy meatball in terms of, selling him to the public and pay-per-views, etc., etc., etc. Now, we know Frank Warren, he pretty much is the kingpin of the heavyweight division. He has pretty much all the major heavyweights except Anthony Joshua and except Alexander Usyk. And I'm talking major heavyweights, on the world scene. He's got pretty much all of them. So what is wrong with doing an in-house fight between Fabio Wardley and Daniel Dubois? Maybe that's what's been pitched to Team Dubois. Maybe that's why they've withdrawn from it, because they're probably looking at that thinking, okay, we fight Frank Sanchez, we're probably going to take, a pay cut, because who's going to really bid for that fight? Is Frank really going to go out of his way to bid for that fight? Is some other promoter going to go out of his way to bid for that fight? Maybe, maybe not. And even then, we win it. It's a dangerous fight. We win it. Well, we still have to wait our turn for our mandatory to be called. And we don't know what's going to happen. It's not like an interim title. It's for a mandatory position. So if Usyk retires or he vacates, you're not elevated to full champion. You got to go and fight whoever's next available. So it could cause a little bit of stagnation, maybe, potentially. Whereas you jump the queue, and I'm not saying that's necessarily a good thing or the right thing to do. You jump the queue, you do an in-house fight with Fabio Wardley, you do that on pay-per-view, you do it in Ipswich Portman Road, maybe. Because you could do, cause honest to God, like that fight right there, I mean, I wouldn't say you do Wembley, but you could do, honestly, I would say you could probably do Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I'm going to call it and say you could probably do that fight, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, because Dubois is known enough, and he's well known enough, especially from the Joshua fight and the Usyk fight as well. And obviously you got Fabio Wardley as well from the Parker fight, Ipswich Town, all that, world heavyweight champion now. If you're Frank Warren, you'd be mad not to. And as a fight itself, right, whether you agree with Dubois jumping the queue or not, I mean, like, I don't agree with it, but at the end of the day, it's WBO, Frank Warren, that fight itself is just, again, I don't know. I'm only just thinking out loud, thinking outside the box here, because why else would Dubois, who seems so keen to go ahead with this purse bid and go ahead with this fight, why would he do a 180 and go the other way? I think that if they did this fight, oh my God, the carnage that we would see in that ring. Because this isn't like Dubois not going to go in there and try and outbox Fabio Wardley. He might stick him on the end of a jab, but when Fabio Wardley starts bringing it to Dubois, which he will, and Dubois is not exactly hard to find, best believe Dubois is going to bring it too. And we will be seeing shootouts in this fight. If this fight happens, right, best believe we will be seeing shootouts in this fight, because they're both aggressive. Defense is not exactly, well, it's certainly not for Dubois, and even so, even the same with Wardley. Defense is not the strongest for either guy. They're definitely both better with offense. They like it when they can find their opponent, and obviously they can both find each other, no problem. They're both big punchers. We know Dubois, I wouldn't say, chin-wise, those were good shots that Usyk, in particular the second knockdown. So chin-wise, Dubois, he got a solid chin? He's got probably an average chin. Wardley, we don't really know, because he was hit a couple of times by Parker. I think there was a few times where he was maybe rocked and staggered, but nothing crazy. But Parker, he's not Daniel Dubois in terms of punching power. Honestly, for me, just reading this and seeing how it's unfolded, to me, I'm just thinking there's something going on behind the scenes. And if they do that fight, oh my God, carnage. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. It is strange that there's another pullout from this proposed purse bid, or this purse bid for a fight with Frank Sanchez. It now falls to Jared Anderson. If he doesn't take it, who else is there? I mean, again, this is what happened with Philip Hergovich a few years ago. You just go down and down and down. Before we finish, I'm just going to really, really, really quickly just go down the IBF rankings really, really quickly, just so we see, because at the end of the day, if you think about it like this, we're just having to constantly go down and down the rankings. So at heavyweight, Jared Anderson, Michael Hunter, Martin Bakole, Bakadir Jalilov, yikes. And Hergovich comes in again. So they are going, I mean, they've moved loads of people down the rankings, actually, to be fair. They've moved Tamba down the rankings, F.A. Jagba. I mean, like, they are, you are scraping the bottom of the barrel, really, in terms of names. I mean, like, Anderson, I don't mind. Hunter, ugh. Bakole, no. Jalilov, what's he done? And he wouldn't take it, I don't think. Vianello, maybe. That's about it, literally. So, yeah, Frank Sanchez out in the wilderness, it seems, trying to get that IBF title shot. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed the video as always, people. If you could, smash the like button, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. Until next time.